couple of really good things that can help you in that regard. One is my favorite friend in the whole world, and that's the wall. So it's a really good thing to get to go onto a wall and actually volley on a wall because it teaches the fundamentals really well. Because if you swing, a lot of amateurs and professionals, to be honest, swing too much at a volley. You know, they take their racket back too far. They don't get it in front of them. And to be able to do that, if you can do that on a wall, then you should be able to do it on the tennis court. And on a wall, you have zero reaction, you know, you have 0.01 reaction time. So you must keep the hands short and you must keep punching the ball in front of you, and you can't take big swings. And as soon as you take a big swing on a wall, you're going to lose control. So you'll realize really quickly, oh, I can only hit 2 of these. And someone like me, I could hit 150 on a wall without missing quite easily. You know, so I think the key to there is I'm not taking my racket back and I'm opening my face and I'm just like punching it against the wall. So that's a really good tip for people that want to improve their volleys. And honestly, is to get, if you do have the opportunity or the money to be able to pay for an individual lesson, have your coach clearly feed the balls to you that you miss at the net and just practice it. So do it on the wall, then do it on the court, and then put it and implement it in play. For me, I really did work hard on my fitness, especially, you know, from my, well, I did my whole career. I mean, you can't be a professional athlete and not be in great shape, particularly tennis, because it is a really arduous, as you know, Lisa, really arduous physical sport. You can be, and I think it's arguably one of the hardest physical sports because you really do need to have everything. You need to be flexible. You need to be really fast. You need to be anaerobically and aerobically in shape, right? You have to be able to sprint to a spot. You have to be able to do that over and over, and you have to be out there sometimes for 3+ hours on the tennis court. Yeah. And so everybody knows physically, if you are not in shape and you're starting to lose that, it starts to affect you also mentally, and your shot selection becomes really poor. So we always see that, and even as a commentator, I know when someone's gotten into really good shape because they're making better decisions on the court as well, because they trust that they can hit 2 or 3 more shots. Right. So for me, my game was very explosive. I was a serve and volley. I constantly was in at the net. I was having to hit low volleys. So I was always working on my strength of my legs. You know, even though I wasn't exactly a real powerhouse, you know, I'm tall and quite, you know, my build's quite thin, but I had very explosive, I had to have explosiveness because for me, I was always in at the net. So I was either getting low for volleys, reflexes, and I always was having to get up and back for an overhead because people were lobbing me. So I had to have good explosive work. And I worked with, you know, I had a fitness trainer for a long time. His name was Dave Herman. He's in Orlando. And flexibility. So he was always really, he pushed me hard. But for me, I did a lot of band work as well. I find doing resistance band work on the tennis court is such an easy way for amateurs to get quicker, faster, and better on the tennis court. Because if you're having resistance against you and you're running and lunging, and even if you're going back for an overhead, having the band the other way to push you back, I think if there's one thing that you can do, and you can do it for free, is buy an extension band and tie it around your waist of any kid or anything you want to do. You don't need to be in a gym for it. You can get incredibly fast, fit, and explosive with a band wrapped around you. I actually think that because of the mistakes that people have made in the past on that front, I think players are getting better at making sure that they take the extra week. And I stress that to people myself. I'm like, look, if you, particularly after you've come back from surgery, your brain and your body are not connected. No. And you come back from tearing something, it's different. It's like the muscle's okay, you're all good. But when you come back from a surgery, for example, to a knee, it's like, it's a very different situation. You've had a knife go in there, you've had extensive work done in there. So I always say to them, look, if you have to decide, take an extra week. Like, it's not going to hurt you. So yes, and get the rest. If you're tired, get the rest. And I think the money in tennis is so much now that it does allow players to take a little bit more time if they need it. Martina Hingis was always somebody that I hated playing and I loved playing. It was like that because she was so good. She was so good, and she was so tactfully very good, and I was very tactically very good. So it was kind of like mind games with each other. She didn't have a lot of power. I did not have a lot of power. So we were always like making that. So it was kind of like fun. She was just so good. Obviously, the Williams sisters were incredibly difficult to beat because they were the opposite. They were just power and you know, huge serves and all that. And they had a presence about them. So I would say those three. Clearly, Martina Navratilova was coming to the end of her career, but it was a joy to play against her because, again, she was so good.
Yeah.
You know, I played Steffi Graf in singles. That was, you know, fun for me. We were really good friends, so it made it a little bit easier for me. And I actually almost won that match, which to this day, I kind of, oh, if I just won that match, I would have had that over her for the rest of my life. But, you know, it's okay. We're still friends. But yeah, I mean, I've had the joy of playing against some of the greats, and they're all great in their own way. And I also have played with them. And when you've played with them, I played with Steffi, I played with Serena, I played with Venus. It's like, it just, they're a special bunch to be on the court with. This might be a controversial take, but I think it's actually getting worse. And the only reason I say that is I can commentate singles matches and just be in awe because these women hit the ball so hard and they are so good from the back of the court and they move so well. I mean, the athleticism is through the roof. Yes, we had great athletes in the past, Serena, Steffi, I mean, you know, Venus, some of the Maresmo, like they were quick and fast and athletic, and they all hit the ball right. But it's gone to, everyone has to be that good now. Everyone has to be fast. In doubles, unfortunately, the abilities at the net have gone down the toilet. So nobody plays really well at the net anymore. It's kind of like everyone's on top of the net. There's rallies from the back of the court, and then someone will just run and try and poach. There's tactics, but it gets a little stale. And so for me, I was a serve and volleyer. I was an attacking player. I came into the net. I took your options away. I gave you no time to react. If my volley was back to you on the baseline, you had two choices. Try and hit the ball through me, not going to happen, or try and lob me. Probably not going to happen either. So I shrunk the court in doubles with my partners. We were in the net. We shrunk the court. We made time less for our opponents. And then, you know, they would make stupid errors or try and hit a ridiculous lob. And, you know, we just took away the really easy shots. Nowadays, they're all just rallying, because nobody really volleys very well. There's one or two players, to be quite honest, the ones that are doing well still, the Siniakovas, Taylor Townsends, these types of players that are winning Grand Slams, they're coming to the net. So, and they're pretty good at the net. So unfortunately, I think the standard of doubles has gone down. I think everyone's hitting the ball really well from the back of the court and big, but doubles is still about taking space away and taking time away. And unfortunately, that's not the case anymore in the doubles game. And it's just the lack of being able to volley at the net. And, you know, it's sort of a bummer for me to see because the money is through the roof. It's crazy. Well, I can tell you what Sam Stosur told me at the Australian Open. I realize now how important it is for the players to get on the court on time. And so players are selfish and they don't understand that, oh, that 1 or 2 extra minutes of being in the bathroom and not being ready and getting on court actually is a commercial break for us. So, and it's also losing people because they're like, oh, the match hasn't started. Let's go to a different channel. So it's funny how when you get outside of the bubble of playing and you get into either being a commentator or a tournament director or whatever, you start to realize, oh, there's a way bigger picture here. And so I think I was probably one of the players that actually did realize that. And I did understand the importance of being more of a social person and, you know, being available to television or being available to help tournaments out and things. But I think that, you know, tennis players tend to be pretty selfish. And so I just think I think that it would be great for someone like Sam Stosur, who was such a great singles player, to go to players and get them together and be like, guys, listen, if your walk-on time is 12:57, that means 12:57. That doesn't mean 12:59, right? And although you think 2 minutes is who cares? It's like the people that pay your bills, which is television. Yeah. Okay, because the sponsorship is so important, but television rights, especially at Grand Slams, pay these bills. Get your butts on the court at 12:57, right? And do that. And if you take a toilet break, which is so effing annoying to me with all these players, that they take so long. I mean, I just said this to a friend of mine. I played 22 years on tour. I went to the bathroom twice or maybe 3 times in my whole career, okay? I saw a doubles team in Brisbane go off the court after 16 or 18 minutes on court. They lost the set 6-love and both of them went off the court. And I'm sitting there going, this should not be allowed, okay? This is the biggest BS I've ever seen. I had maybe the trainer out 3 or 4 times, and a lot of times I had that was because I had an acute injury. I either pulled my quad, I fractured my finger. There were like, I had major problems on the court that I had to have the trainer out. And that was 22 years of playing on tour. These players now, they just don't understand how bad that is for the sport. And so for me, if I, had my druthers, I would be in their ears a little bit more about the importance of time management and also not making the sport look bad. And that's what they do a lot of times.